Guys, beer, sports. Join Sean and Brad as they talk about sports and share a beer.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Guys, Good Sports coming back. Sean and Brad with you today. We have our friend Corey in the house. Episode 28, rolling with you today. Fellas, how you guys doing?
Great. No complaints. It's a nice Saturday. Weather's good.
Yeah.
It is good, man. For Halifax? Dude.
Yeah.
This is Halifax winter. I felt like I was in Victoria. I woke up. I'm like, what in the world?
I know. You're going to wake up from the Super Bowl and
it's only negative eight?
Christmas.
No, it's like, so it would be like 45 your temperature, I'd say. 45 Fahrenheit.
All right.
Yeah.
What's that in Celsius? Like 3?
Yeah, about 3 or 4. Yeah.
That's fair.
So, Brad, let's talk about our sponsor.
Yeah. Flyers Brewery. I was just in there last night. You guys, today, humble blonde for me. Last night, a lot of the Pacemaker Porter. These cans are the business. I'm telling you, this is the place to be. If you're a can guy instead of a growler guy, Flyers has you covered. Pop in there, corner of Highway 20 and Whidbey Ave.
Yeah, hold that can up again there, Brad. I want people to understand. So, Brad is a rather large man, okay? Yeah. And that can,
for my size.
that can actually looks like, yeah, it makes you look like a little 2-year-old there. It's
Does that excite you?
Oh, that's a little creepy. That's a little creepy, dude.
With your, it's not creepy. The only way you're gonna beat me is if I'm 2. They're dancing bear martial arts or whatever that is.
Dancing is Krav Maga and Aikido. Yeah.
Which is really for dancing bear. So
I stopped in. So remember Spindrift Brewery there? So I stopped in.
And look at this. It's funny to see the size of this can and then the size of your
can. And the size of my can?
That's the difference.
Size does matter.
It does. Look at this thing. So this is Toller by Spindrift Brewery here in Atlantic Canada, Dartmouth, 21 Frazee Avenue there in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. So this is let's say it's Toller Gold. It is, I would call this a Pilsner if I were to call it anything. It is right now currently the cheapest 12-pack in Atlantic Canada. Well, Nova Scotia anyways. So if you're looking for some Super Bowl beer and you want something that's at 5%, and it looks gold, not like the apple juice last week there, but this, yeah. No, that wasn't apple juice though. That was Killick. That was Killick.
It's not what it looked like this.
Toller Gold. So named after the Nova Scotia Toller Retriever. Okay, so excellent naming. Excellent. Corey, what are you drinking?
Today I am drinking on a Saturday as a gift from my partner. She decided to grab me some Pump House craft radler, so I'm drinking a bit of a grapefruit and tangerine. She said she'd like to make sure that I get some fruit while I'm on screen this morning. So
very important.
Very important. So Pump House puts out a pretty great drink, so no complaints.
Good deal.
Sounds perfect, man. World of sports, buddy. World of sports. Trades,
exciting time.
Unbelievable. So my wife actually had a great quote. I had to write it down because I couldn't believe that she was quoting this. So usually we have the wife question of the week. It's the wife statement of the week. Wow. There are some QBs that lead the team, and there are some QBs that need the team. Quote, Joanna Church. I think that's very accurate. Very accurate.
Yep. Yeah.
Matthew,
what was her motivation for that quote?
After watching Stafford and Goff get traded, and she's like, there's some people that just need that team, and there's some people that'll lead that team, and both those guys aren't leaders.
Neither are leaders, yeah.
I'd argue half that point. I think Stafford was the leader, but
I think Stafford had his chance to lead when he had all those weapons back a few years back, and you still can't win a playoff game. So I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I guess we'll see what the future holds for them.
I mean, I remember him putting up 27 points a game, and typically that's enough to get you to win if your defense isn't atrocious.
Here's the thing. I mean,
They had a
Yeah,
historically bad defense.
yeah. I mean, and Dominic
never
and
put it
Sue was
together.
there, right? And Dominic and Sue was there on that team.
Yeah, the great face stomper.
The great
That's
face
not,
stomper. I still
you
think he's
like him
doing
because he
that.
looks like a WWE character. That's
He
why
does,
you're
man.
he's
He
not a good
does.
football player.
Well, he is a good football player. He's just not a good guy. How about that?
Fair
Sure.
assessment.
Sure. I'll take
Yeah.
it.
Just not
He's
a
a
good
good
guy.
football. Yeah, just not a good guy. Yeah. There are such people as such, like Brad Marchand. We'll get into that.
I can't believe that Jared Goff got that price, to be honest with you. Like that's
Jared Goff got that price?
well, he was even included in that deal. Like I felt like he was on the cusp of getting cut, I think. So the fact that they were able to trade him is a win for the LA Rams. It's the only really win they got.
It's
He's
hard to
given up-
believe that he
Yeah.
was a first round draft pick 2 years ago.
He was the number one draft pick. You know, that's the only time in the league that a number one pick has been swapped for a number one pick. The number one overall pick.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
First time ever. But it took 2 other first round picks to get it done. That's how bad Jared Goff is.
It doesn't seem like it's a well-liked trade by a lot of people.
No, I think if you're in Detroit, you're really upset. I mean, it's a signal of a full rebuild in Detroit. Which, I mean, to be honest, if Dan Campbell's your head coach choice, like that should have been your signal was full rebuild.
Yeah. Yeah, the hopes are
absolutely.
long term.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at that. I still think Detroit won that trade altogether.
Yeah.
Just because
If
of
they
draft picks.
If they draft well, yeah.
Well, that's the question, right? Yeah. As a Seahawks fan, how does that make you feel now? You faced the
Worse.
Rams
Matt
twice.
Stafford's a way better quarterback than
I know. Like it just seems already Sean McVay. What was that you said? That Sean McVay got the playbook from what's his face? The other coach there, Jeff Fisher got the playbook from Jeff Fisher before he left how to beat the Seahawks. And now he's added another weapon to that.
Yeah, I think the dark horse to get I don't know if it's even a dark horse. I think the favorite to get Deshaun Watson is the 49ers. I think that's going to end up being the deal that gets done, and that's terrifying to me as a Seahawks fan. Because Deshaun Watson they give San Francisco like a 3-year window of being Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
The Rams, they're the Rams, right? Like they'll be competitive. They're always, on the edge of being contenders. Arizona still
their
sucks,
defense
but,
is amazing. Yeah.
The Rams defense,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll see how the picks work out. They haven't had a first round pick for 2 years because of the Jalen Ramsey deal. They won't have a first round pick for the next 2 years because of the Stafford deal. But it may not matter.
Yeah. Well, if you were in the window of now, right?
6-7 years, no
well,
first round picks.
Yeah.
In the NFL, having all the rounds, you can find, there's Hall of Fame players they find in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, free agents. You can really make some moves not having a first round pick. So is the first round pick great? Yeah, if you get in the top 10 usually, but it's not a guarantee. I mean, think about all the guys. There's definitely like lottery guys that like are studs, first round picks that are studs, right? But there's also a ton of guys that are all pro dudes that got drafted late.
True.
Like 2nd, 3rd, 5th. You know what I mean? So, losing your first round pick in the NFL isn't detrimental. It's not the same as it would be if it was in hockey or basketball with that draft system, right? But man.
Well, the thing is,
US is going to be something.
yeah.
It's going to be one to watch for sure.
In hockey, I mean, it's like look at Ottawa. It took them a while there because they got rid of so many first round picks over the last little bit.
Yeah.
So it's detrimental to a team, really, in the NHL.
Yeah. When
Yeah,
you're talking
you
about
look at
hockey,
Montreal.
hockey and
Montreal's
basketball.
Yeah, Montreal, right, Corey? Yeah.
Yeah, like Montreal's used, they picked up more guys drafted in the early rounds. So and even LA now they're deeper than other teams because they got so much youth. I mean, they're still not in a win right now position, but I mean, I guess Montreal's kind of building their team around. But yeah, I mean, NFL, I can definitely agree. Differences in terms of, where you're losing those first round. Yeah, I mean, a lot of your quality players in the NHL are in your first round. Sometimes you might get a second, a third that may never have an NHL career. Yeah.
Well, there's just so many positions in the NFL, right? I mean, you're talking about 22 starters, not including specialists. So like if you need a certain position, the likelihood of every other team needing that same position is so slim.
Yeah.
There's so much rotation, right? And so
Unless you're talking the quarterback position. I think the quarterback position, if you got a solid quarterback, because this is the first time I think I've seen 16 teams that like the way that it's been written through most sports media outlets, 16 teams are looking for starting quarterback changes.
Yeah.
It's unheard of,
yep.
you know.
It is.
And you have to think that the draft, I mean, really your big one is Trevor Lawrence. Then everybody else is kind of a crapshoot. It's
Well, maybe that's why it makes sense. You know, I mean, they're looking down the road at what the talent is. You know, they're researching the sophomores and the freshmen in college right now. They know what's out there in the next 2 years. Potentially.
yeah.
And if you're planning on being a winner, if your team is a winning team, then you're gonna this is something we talk about in my circle a lot when it comes to like what we think Seattle should do or other teams should do. Is if you're gonna be in the playoffs perennially. Like we gave up 2 picks for Jamal Adams, right?
Right.
But if we continue to win and go to the playoffs, that pick's in the 20s. And so Jamal Adams is better than the 20th overall player.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So if the Rams, you're thinking, hey, if we can win with Matt Stafford, Detroit's going to be picking in the 20s. Like, I mean, it's not a big gamble, but
especially since really, I mean, Jared Goff's going to be your starting quarterback in Michigan. So it's like, yeah, you're definitely,
maybe right. Who knows?
Well, who's he competing against over there? Who else is there?
I mean, they'll bring somebody in, and it's
of course.
Who's to say he's not going to be fragile mentally? He's not the toughest mental dude. You know. Let's go watch.
Come on, he played
Hard Knocks. Watch Hard Knocks.
All right, I didn't watch that, but he did play.
Yeah.
He did play with that broken thumb there. Like he fixed his thumb, came back to play.
Tough. He's not mentally tough. He didn't know where the sun rose and set at.
Well, that's just ignorance. That's just pure ignorance.
Is it?
Like,
Is it?
Yeah, it's like Mitch Trubisky didn't know how to call the end of a huddle, right? Like that was his problem there.
Yeah, that's a coach.
Guys.
That's a coach. And Mitch Trubisky is probably in the same trajectory as Jared Goff, right?
Yeah, but at least he wasn't number 1 overall, man.
Close. What's worse, being number 1 overall or being the guy picked in front of Deshaun Watson?
Here's the thing. Do you remember that game with Mahomes against the Bears and Trubisky? And I think that Mahomes was counting.
That wasn't Mahomes
where he
too?
Mahomes was drafted lower than Trubisky.
But he was drafted. Trubisky was drafted in front of Watson and Mahomes, right?
That's right. Yeah. And that's why he was counting. He was counting on his hands, like where he was drafted, right? And I was just like, "Oh, Patrick, stop!"
Wasn't
like,
it 5? Wasn't it 5? It was 5 picks after, right?
5 picks. That's what he did. He counted on his hands to show
5
them.
touchdowns. Remember?
Yeah, and he showed him, and he's showing him, and I'm just like, "Oh, stop it, Patrick! This poor guy."
I mean,
Patrick.
For me, I would rather be drafted number 1 overall and not be great. Versus being in Trubisky's boat and have Watson and Mahomes behind me, and the team's being like, "What about those guys?"
Well, what do you think Alex Smith feels like every day when he's there looking at his like Aaron Rodgers probably sitting there going, "How many does he count? How many does he count over Alex Smith?"
I would say that he probably looks in his bank account and feels pretty solid about his position.
Yeah. But even he's on the trading blocks now too. I mean, it
should be.
Yes, his team hates him. We said at the beginning of the season, his team hates him.
Every team he's played on has hated him. He's not. Listen, Lampton, our buddy Lampton, who was on a couple weeks ago, he told me one time that Alex Smith can't throw a 20-yard out with a tennis ball, and I watched him ever since then. He can't throw that ball at all. It's terrible.
And that leg injury was just horrendous.
Well, you feel bad for him for that.
Yeah.
You know. When Joe Theismann, who notoriously always talks about his own leg injury, when he gives it up to Alex Smith about his leg injury, like, that was bad.
True. Yeah.
Man. So Super Bowl is this weekend, brother.
Yeah, it is.
I am stoked.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. It just feels weird. The whole game feels weird.
Why?
I don't know. I think that I've bet against Tom Brady too many times. I just feel.
Oh, dude, you already made your pick last week, man. I'm just there. Are you flipping? Already? Because I'm confident what I picked. Confident.
I'm not flipping. It just feels weird.
Okay.
It feels like a Royal Rumble almost. You know what I mean? Or like it just feels.
There's a lot of hype.
It's WrestleMania 3, man. It's WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania 3. It feels.
I feel something.
It's scary. It's scary to think about it. The two top talents. I'm telling you, this is a passing of the torch. If Patrick Mahomes could do it, he is going to be the
I don't
guy
know
that's
that it's
there.
But then if he doesn't do it,
Dang, then TB is going to be playing till he's 50, I guess. I don't know. It's like
play until he's 50. Yeah.
If
he wins, just retire.
One almond for dessert, I guess.
I'm just there. I'm literally there going to myself, okay, so it's impossible to bet against Tom Brady. He's just burnt people in the past. It's
not impossible, it's just silly.
It is. Like, okay, so here I am at work, right? And so we have a position called the marching NCO where you get to march the students around, okay? And one of the buddies,
your only job?
No, you have the rest of your work, but it's just an added thing you got to do, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
So, guiding the students.
Like a special button to wear near the pedal. So
no, but you get a pace stick. You get a pace stick. Yeah, you get a pace stick. A pace stick.
What is that? It's like a rod.
It's about a 4 foot long stick.
You get to hit somebody with it if they're not.
No.
If they're not keeping pace, you get to get him in the.
No.
Nancy Kerrigan them in the leg.
Yeah. Anyways, though, it's just one of those extra things you just don't want to do, right? And so one of my buddies is there going, okay, let's go and bet all the rest. And there's only like a few weeks.
Yeah.
He goes, let's bet the rest of this weeks that's for this course. You take my marching NCOs for the remainder of this course. I'm picking Tom Brady, he said, and I already was picking Patrick Mahomes, and I'm like, I can't do it because he's burnt me so many times. It's like even something like that. I don't even want to do it. I don't want to bet against him. He's burnt me so many times.
That's why we talk about our betting with our hearts or betting with our wallets, right? This is a clear case of that, Like you want to talk about who you want to win, it's easy.
Or who you expect to win.
You want to put something on it?
Must be he'll probably bet you a flat of that dog beer.
No.
That dog beer.
Yeah, the dog beer.
Give me some of that dog beer and we'll talk. All right.
Yeah, I see Sean at work. He's very passionate about how he feels about what you think the outcome of the game is going to be.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because
Corey, we've given Sean a platform and now he feels like people listen to him, so he's probably.
Oh yeah. Yeah, agree. Yeah. Well,
imagine that Sean has a T-shirt with a microphone on it, so he feels like he's always on, and he wears it under his uniform, and then he just speaks into it like he's on.
Yeah, I've got that. That's getting edited into the show. Yeah, I'm bringing that one home.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
Now, I find it interesting, definitely this week as, everybody's been leading up to it and all the talk, about what's going to happen and the legacy, is Brady, if Brady wins, is he continue on, he's the GOAT, is this, 10 Super Bowl appearances, does he win, does he move on? What does it do to Mahomes if he doesn't win? You know what I mean? But either way, 3 years as a starter and then, you're going to your, second Super Bowl in a row. So I think it's where to go. I think Kansas City, I feel like Kansas City's going to pull it off. I could be sitting here with betting some dog beer with Sean. I don't know. You might be getting a UPS delivery down to the States with some dog beer on it.
On the line. And you know what? Yeah. Man, let me tell you something. Okay. So there's another quarterback that was going to his second Super Bowl in a row that faced Tom Brady. And it didn't work out so well for him.
Well, I was just going to bring that up. I saw it last night, and it said first year starting, that quarterback also lost in the playoffs, right? First year as a starter, Mahomes lost in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
Second year as a starter, that quarterback
wins the Super Bowl.
Second year as a starter, Mahomes wins the Super Bowl. Third quarterback goes back to the Super Bowl, third year starter, right? It's Russell Wilson. He loses to the Patriots.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady, more importantly. So now it's Mahomes' third year as a starter. And it's like,
Facing
Tom Brady. Where are we going to go, Patrick? You're going to be.
It seems like this Super Bowl, like there's more underlying tones to it than it's just being about the game. You know what I mean? Like it seems like this is Brady's legacy of, I separated from Belichick. I've proven myself. I didn't feel it to stay in New England. Now I'm moving on, and hey, look what I've done with
to be
the Bucs.
The first quarterback potentially to win a Super Bowl in your home stadium.
Yeah,
unbelievable. Even
the
just
odds
even
of
get
it
that,
happening are so slim.
Yeah,
like if he pulls this together, it just elevates him even further. Like,
oh, for sure, and bringing the Bucs from basically nowhere within just this season they're going to the Super Bowl.
They were the second or third best team in their division. Going into the season, like without Tom Brady, it's them and Atlanta going for 2-3, right? I felt like this year, and the Saints were clearly a step above them last year
until the postseason. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but even like without Tom Brady, New Orleans is clearly a level above.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just add Tom Brady, and then you have this, the favorite, and even the sideshow they have with Antonio Brown and bringing Gronk back. All those, like that's a lot of personality to mix it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he brought the super team mentality. Like, hey, look, I'm going to take the show to Tampa. Who's coming with me?
Yep. Well, I don't disagree, but I mean, to start as we started with the teams that are leaders or teams that need teams, like Tom's a leader.
Tom is a leader. Like I'm so sick and tired.
He might be the greatest leader at quarterback we've ever seen.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I'm so sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired of people even stating now that he is a system quarterback. I think he's proven that as a big old sham of a lie. Because when you go over to Bruce Arians' system, and trust me, I don't think Bruce Arians is there calling all those. He's not calling plays for Tom Brady. There's most quarterbacks they're going to listen, like Andy Reid. And Eric Bieniemy, you're probably going to listen to him if you're Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is calling all of his own plays.
Not yet.
But Tom Brady, heck yeah, he's calling his own plays. He's not listening to Bruce Arians. Come on. Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, Bruce isn't calling the plays. I think Byron Leftwich is calling the plays, right? But Tom probably.
Did you just say Byron Leftwich?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I remember him as a quarterback. Yeah.
Remember him when he was at Marshall and he broke his leg and they carried him down the drive so he could throw in overtime so he could win the game? Remember
that? Going way back.
That is way back.
But what I'm saying, I think that my impression of how it works for Tom is that he runs the plays that are called until it gets to be dicey or he looks and sees. He probably has the freedom just to change any play he wants at any point in the huddle, at the line, wherever. But I don't think that he has his own script and he's just running.
No, I'm not saying that.
That's a lot to put on somebody.
But he's a guy there that's definitely okay. I don't agree with this. I'm going to change this on the fly. I'm going to do this.
He understands how to read defenses, right? Yeah. That's the thing. He's looking at them. He's seeing stuff. He's like, man, if they come out in that defense again, I'm running this play and smoke checking them. Like,
who was his teammate that he sorted out there because he was all butt sore he didn't make the Pro Bowl, and he basically said, "You're who?"
Oh, which you mean in New England? He yelled
no.
He yelled at
in Tampa.
Either Devin White or David, one of the two, because they were crying because they were so happy after they won the NFC Championship game, and he told him to shut his mouth because they had.
Yeah.
See, that's a leader.
But that's a Tom thing, and that's the same thing. It was Jamie Collins was pissed off about not making the Pro Bowl when they won their last championship, and he told him, he's like, "What are you?" He goes, "I'm not here for Pro Bowls. You better go sack up, son. Let's go.
Yep,
you got a game to win."
Man,
he doesn't care. Like Tom just doesn't like. Man, his goal is to win the Super Bowl every year. He doesn't care about the rest of it.
And I think Mahomes is wired similarly as well. Yeah. Like as far as that wiring,
Mahomes' dad probably put a lot into him.
Yeah.
Because his dad had that same. I mean, he has as a relief pitcher and a starting pitcher. Like that's the game, right? The game isn't stats. The game is to do your job and get the win. I imagine that Patrick saw that or heard that a lot growing up. Because he just has it, whatever it is,
Yeah, I agree, and I think that I think Tom brings a lot, to the team, and that leadership piece, and Brad, when you're talking about he's not sitting there calling his own play, but, I think that he's got a lot of experience and influence, when it comes to, hey, look, here's what works, here's what doesn't work. He knows his strengths and weaknesses and what he's, what's going to work best. And, I think he brings that. I think that, him going to the Bucs this year from New England has shown that, he has those qualities and he can bring that to a team and succeed.
Like I've been riding him pretty hard all this season there because I just don't like Tom Brady because he's destroyed my Bills. Yeah, he's destroyed my Bills. I don't know how many countless times.
There's other reasons to not like him.
There are, but like the thing.
That's one of them for you, but like the rest of them, you can't like.
Yeah,
Tom's living the dream, man.
But I'm hearing a lot of people. I'm only hearing a lot of people that are like, like, I'm cheering for Tom this year for the first time because he was on New England. I hated him on New England, but he's good here. But just to walk back, what I was trying to make my point is that I was riding Tom because he picked a team with Mike Evans, with Godwin, with all these weapons that are there. Leonard Fournette getting added, but he never got a chance to play with any of them until he literally had to learn the plays, learn all their quirks and everything like that in that one season. This is a minor miracle.
Remember how Tom broke into somebody's house trying to learn the playbook? He thought it was Byron's house. Remember that story?
I do. It's like, you're not the guy I want to see here.
Imagine if Tom Brady just walks in your front door. Like, first of all, like they live in a neighborhood where no one locks their doors. Like this, that's what Tom is to start with. But imagine like that's the move. Like all of a sudden your door opens and it's Tom Brady walking in like with a playbook.
How about you come back later?
Yeah. Later.
Like, I'm calling the cops unless you leave me one of those rings.
I got lots.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I thought this week too, there was a lot of back and forth about, where Tom would go and what he would do. And I just think he wanted to be on the East Coast in the NFC. I think he wanted to be in the NFC. I think he wanted to stick it to the AFC at one more time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think it's all calculated. And I think we just hate when it works for some players. There's just something about Tom.
Well, what did they say that, a lot of the reason that he left New England was because Belichick didn't ask him to come back, and I think, there's got to be something there to say, for Brady, okay, well, where can I go? I feel like I can succeed by not going to a super team, but a team that, we're going to foster and create and, have a good team. And now he's, and stick it to Belichick, I'm sure it's because, and they say they're like, he's got nothing against the owner, nothing against Foxborough, nothing against the fans. It's just, that's that part of between him and Belichick that it's like, it's time to move on. You're not showing me any appreciation for all that I've done here. And I'm sure to a degree is Belichick looking at it like, hey, look, I'm the star here too. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is football and it's about me. But Tom's, annoyed, like, well, give me the right pieces. Because, the last couple of years, he's kind of getting dogged for the fact that, well, Mahomes is the man. Where's Brady
Mahomes,
at?
Yeah. Mahomes got weapons. Secondly, though, give Belichick a few seasons. Give him about 2 seasons. Let him get some 5th round draft pick again and build them all the way back. 6th round draft pick and build them all the way back up. What's that?
Yeah.
Give him one more. You can't even like this season is an outlier because they lost 10 defensive starters.
Yeah.
That died out due to COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh no, and they still were competitive. That's the thing. That should speak volumes to Bill Belichick.
Have a resurgence, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh," but just remember that this year was a bit of an asterisk for New England in the fact that they weren't loaded. They didn't just lose Tom Brady.
There's a lot of players that didn't come in.
They scored enough points with Cam Newton if they would have had a defense.
If they had a defense, I think they would have won more games. Absolutely. And that should speak volumes to Bill Belichick and what he's able and capable to do, right?
Yeah.
So
I dislike Bill Belichick a lot. He's my second most hated coach behind Nick Saban. I think they're both you can't knock what they are. You just can't.
They're winners. They're winners.
And that's the thing, regardless, because if you do the comparison and you compare them, to guys like Phil Jackson, like winners, coaches that, they bring the zen and they mold those teams into winners, of course.
But people like Phil Jackson, though. That's the thing. It's like Phil Jackson. Yeah, I like Phil.
Well, because they always liked his approach, how he was, we were a player's coach, things like that. So
until he hit New York, I think when he hit the Knicks, I think he just lost it there.
Well, I think the Knicks has been a dumpster fire for a long time, and whether or not you bring Phil Jackson,
ever since Jeff Van Gundy, ever since they had a little Chihuahua down there chewing on Alonzo Mourning's leg, the Knicks haven't been good at all.
Yeah, that
there's some Heat fan in Miami that has like a little Knicks doll that they do some voodoo with. Ever since Van Gundy chewing on his leg.
I love watching that. I love watching those old replays where it shows when he's down there grasping onto thighs.
Hilarious. Little Jeff Van Gundy.
Yeah. Man, can you believe
Phil's role was different? I don't know that either that Belichick or Saban make a good GM. I think they're terrible at it.
Right.
True.
The GM doesn't have the control that a coach has. I mean, they shape a roster and they do all those things, but they don't have the day-to-day buy-in that a coach has. Like those are two different skill sets.
Yeah. But I mean, you're bringing up a good point as far as that's concerned. But Phil Jackson, he was, I mean, to manage stars, right? And it's not just like to manage stars and make sure, because they're all going to be coming to you for minutes, right? It's like, I'm not getting enough minutes. I'm not getting, you know what I mean? Like that's got to be a tough thing to do on its own, to be able to manage stars, and then to manage them on the look at Brooklyn right now. Now the Kevin Durant mystery yesterday, that was absolutely insane. He came in contact with somebody with COVID. The tests were inconclusive, but we'll let him play coming off the bench. Oh, wait, he tested negative. Okay, we're good. Oh, he tested positive. Oh, we got to pull him now.
He never tested positive. He tested negative.
No, he tested negative, like three or four times?
Yeah,
but apparently it was inconclusive.
That if you're in contact, it doesn't matter what you test. That's what the protocol says. That's
which
why
is absolutely ludicrous. It's ludicrous.
Well,
it's ludicrous.
Well, they're all going to play it safe because – like just the way things are going. And don't forget, down in the States, depending where you're going state to state, things are worse than other places. So I think they're not seeing what's going on in the NHL right now. Like, the amount of teams that are postponing games because they're losing, not just one or two players, they're losing 8, 10, like what is it? I think was it New Jersey, one of the teams, like they lost like 12 guys. They're, on the protocol list. So I think teams are being over cautious, like
think about what happened with Kansas City and that barber.
Oh, that's crazy, right? Patrick Mahomes' hair, and it was just like,
there was 20 dudes in line. Bro, if they would have waited just a little bit longer, it would have been more than just them two guys. It would have been 20. Dude, you imagine having 22 guys not being able to practice for the week?
That's crazy. Insane.
That's a death sentence.
Yeah, detrimental to seasons. Yeah.
Well, then all of a sudden it's like February 7th is moved.
Yeah. Now you did bring up the Nets and managing stars. Now you got a rookie coach with Steve Nash there,
but he brings in Houston's old head coach there. Now I can't bring up his name. What's Houston's
Mike
old?
D'Antoni.
Yeah, brings him in there. I don't know how much Steve Nash is coaching. I got to be honest. Like,
well, I mean, Steve's got a basketball mind, but he's never coached.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
been on the side. He was with Steve Kerr for a while though in Golden State. He's been the organization. He's been behind it. He hasn't been around. 100%. He hasn't been a bench coach, but he's been
NBA
a culture building guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that's for sure. I wholeheartedly agree. And I mean, like, playing basketball in Canada, like Steve Nash, I met Steve Nash 20 years ago when he was in Halifax. So, like he's got the basketball mind. And I think having played in the NBA,
the personality for it too, to kind of mesh those guys. He understands how to get those things together.
Yep.
It's interesting to me that James Harden is leading the league in assists since he's been in Brooklyn, not in the league, not overall, but like since he's going to
Brooklyn. See, that's where
11 assists a game, dude. That's something you've never seen from James.
That's what they said, is that when he went to when he went to Brooklyn, because that's where he wanted to go, because him and Kevin were talking, that he's going to reshape his game to fit into that dynamic, that Harden does what he has to do to win. So when he went to Houston, hey, what do you have to do? I got to take 1,000 shots a game.
Yeah.
So that's what he did. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to go to the Nets. What do I have to do to be successful? And yeah, his stats have completely changed.
Yeah.
And I think that bringing him in, everyone says, okay, well, the Nets, they're going to the final. They're going to the final.
I think it's going to take them a season, right? It's going to take them a good season in order to figure out what the Nets are. Yeah.
It's like sometimes they look fantastic, and other nights they look like trash.
Especially against the Raptors.
Oh my God.
I don't care that Kevin Durant came off the bench, played 8 minutes. You still have Harden. You still have Irving. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not going to say that Kyle Lowry is garbage, because he's not. He's probably top 5, top 10 for sure in the league as far as point guards. And then Pascal Siakam. Freddie VanVleet is a great player. He got that 54-point game just a few nights ago. Yep. But the thing is that it's still the Raptors, and you're the Nets.
And they're still, and that's it. They're still trying to find their way, because how do you manage those three? I mean, like, look, when the Nets went into Cleveland, you know what I mean? Like,
they got spanked.
And you look at that game, and it's like, who had the most shots that game? Well, Kyrie, then Kevin, then Harden. So
it's difficult for me to put that Cleveland game up and say that that's a precursor for who they are, because
for sure.
Because Kyrie went in with something to prove to Cleveland.
Yeah, he just didn't work.
Not that guy. You know what I mean? Kyrie's the.
Well, that's the thing is, Kyrie is box office. This guy's, for sure, he is
Uncle Drew,
legit.
buddy. Uncle Drew.
He's legit. It's just managing. How do you get the three of them to all be those pieces? And again,
I don't think Kyrie is as good as what everybody thinks Kyrie is, though. I mean, he had his chance there in Boston to be the guy. He should never have left Cleveland. Stuck it out with LeBron. Should have stuck it out.
Kyrie's mind is right. Kyrie is a fantastic player.
Yeah, but when he's Uncle Drew,
he's got a lot going on.
Yeah, but when Kyrie's mentals are not quite together,
then he's talking flat earth.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on with him right now that leaves everybody, really perplexed what's going on with Kyrie. And it's like, okay, well, but the thought is still, if even without Kyrie, Harden and KD could still take the Nets.
We can't forget what happened last year with the bubble, and Kyrie was almost derailed the entire season restarting in the bubble because he felt like from a social justice aspect they should not be playing.
Yep.
That hasn't left him. Right.
No.
That's part of the reason why he was gone for a couple of games, because he felt like he had some things he had to take care of. Yeah. So Kyrie's more than just basketball, which, I mean, hats off to him for that. But
absolutely,
you still, it's, I think he's starting to own it now more than he has before. We saw that at his press conference when he came back, but he's still not in mentally.
No, I agree.
And I feel the same way with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's launching businesses mid-season and playing like garbage in those stretches. Like, that's great to Russell. You want to have another life outside of football, but at the same time,
launching businesses and life.
What's your number one job? Yeah. And what are you getting paid to do?
Making babies. Yeah.
Listen, no one's upset about him making babies. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's not taking a lot of his focus away. That's
human nature, man. Human nature is gonna happen anyway.
Everybody's on that train one way or the other.
Yeah. COVID babies. Yeah. They're happening. Yeah, they're like gremlins, get them wet and they multiply.
You gotta take your hats off to the NFL for what they managed to do for this season, right? And even though switching teams around and everything like that in order to make it work. NBA is doing a good job. NHL's having a little bit of a harder time. I'm surprised, actually, this season that NHL's having a legitimately harder time. I don't know. Canada, of course, the Canadian division, not too bad.
Not having the same issues, but I think it's, not in the same degree as teams in the U.S., but I think, hats off to all the professional sports teams, because I think each league has taken a page off of, hey, look, who's doing it well? How are they doing it? How can we do it?
You hit it on the head earlier when he said about the different states have different lockdown measures. I mean, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
You got guys that are traveling into states that are a little more open than they are where they come from. And so those guys are out eating dinner and doing those things, even though they're probably not.
Yeah.
There's rules against that. But, you're telling me at 25 with all that money that you're going to listen to somebody?
Well, and I mean, I don't know if you guys are segueing into the whole NBA All-Star discussion of what's going on, the talk of the game in Atlanta, but I know that that's the big thing. LeBron's annoyed that, well, wait a minute, what's this talk of we're going to have an All-Star game, but yet you got us basically in lockdown. So then if you go to the All-Star game, well, what are we doing? Are we in lockdown for 5 days in Atlanta?
Yeah, well, I think everyone
Absolutely.
joined in LeBron's deal last night. It doesn't make any sense. The All-Star game
Not at
doesn't make
all. You could do something like, the fans can vote and they make their all-star team, but you don't have
Yeah.
to play it. You know what I mean? It's like, this is what we thought the All-Star should be this year.
You do like the sideshow that the Pro Bowl was, where they're just playing Madden.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why not? You just play 2K. It's like,
Well, because I think the NBA, I think the league wants to, what kind of revenue can we generate from the TV deal of having an All-Star weekend?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the players are like, well, wait a minute, you told us we were getting a 5-day break.
yeah.
Now you're coming at us with this, and then
It's
if
not
you
right.
go, but then they say they're more worried about the players that don't go to the All-Star game, because then those are the ones that do have the 5-day break. And what are you doing?
Yeah.
You
No,
know, so-
I hear that. I hear that.
I mean, to be honest, if I was running the show, I wouldn't have a break.
No, yeah. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Why? Or like you guys said, is just have the vote. Like, hey, look,
Yeah, have
you
a
know,
vote.
your
On
first
those
team,
things.
second team,
Maybe
All-Star.
you run like a 2-day break, have a game, and take 2 days off.
Yep.
Behind the thing, because you can control that aspect, right? I mean, that happened in Portland when Memphis was supposed to come to Portland and they're going to play it back to back, right? And then Memphis couldn't get a team together because they had their COVID issues or whatever. So Portland ended up having like 6 days off.
Yeah.
But they didn't come out of it with any cases. I think you can do that if you're staying home and not having a break per se. You could have a break in games where you don't have that level of activity if the guys need a break, but you still got to have shoot arounds and you just have to control the situation.
But I'd be concerned if I was like, whatever team. The fact is that, okay, so I send my guy, if I send Kevin Durant, and you're going to the All-Star game, and then you go to the All-Star game, and then East and West, and you get all these other players from every other state that's coming in and they play, and then one person.
Atlanta is wide open right now.
And that's it. They
Yeah,
said Atlanta
yeah.
has
Lou,
no restrictions. They haven't
Lou
shut
Will's,
down.
Lou Will's going to be throwing a party. You know that? Like,
Oh, yeah.
for the food, right? They got the best wings in Atlanta. Everybody's
Yeah,
going to be there.
Atlanta is going to be a party. And that's the
That's
other thing. Okay, so sure, All-Star weekend or All-Star is going on in Atlanta. Are you actually going to stay in your room?
No.
You talked
Of
about it,
course
like
not.
25, making millions. Am I
You're
staying in
going to
the
run
room?
into everybody else because everyone around there is going to go to Atlanta for the parties.
That's why it's a
Yep.
bad idea.
All
It's a
those
bad
things.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just, like,
Just think
yeah.
about LeBron having that exchange with that fan in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a risky thing to have happen.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, fans have the right to heckle, but I don't know what in the world that was going on. That was like next
man.
level
It was-
heckling.
It was gold, is what it was.
I heard she got up and was like Instagramming or tweeting or whatever with LeBron right there.
it
Like,
was amazing. Yeah, she was talking shit to him. Because he said something to LeBron, and LeBron told him that he called him old steroid ass because he looked. If you seen him, he didn't get those
He
muscles
built.
naturally.
yeah.
And so he said that, and then that girl got mad. She was like, "You will not talk to my husband like that." And I was like, "Man, if that was my house, I'd be like, sit down." Like,
That's LeBron James.
not even LeBron James, right? You talk about, listen, if and this has happened to me before in a previous life. My wife doesn't do this, but I had a girlfriend one time that would spout off. And I'm like, man, if a 6'9", 270-pound grown athletic machine is arguing, just be quiet. Like, don't get me beat up because of your opinion.
Yeah.
You're not fighting.
Yep. You're getting turned into a LeBron pretzel.
Yeah.
Because that's 6'9". You know what I mean? Like, height wise, yes, he's big. But, Sean, you and I had this conversation, but LeBron is built.
He's
Yes.
built.
He is built.
He's
Yeah.
270.
Yes, man.
I don't think
He
that's
is
a real number, to be honest with
well-built
you.
man.
Yeah.
That
You know?
270 is not a real number. Like there's average 270 and there's pro athlete 270.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Like that man will hurt you.
Oh. Yes.
That's
And
why
still
I laugh
at
so
his-
And
hard.
then
And
you
even
got
at
guys
his
like
age
like
that he is-
I don't know if it's Marcus or Markeith Morris is over there. He's the enforcer. That guy's coming in on the blind side. So like even if you get a sneak shot off on LeBron, like you're gonna get nailed. by one
You're
of them
getting
guys.
hurt.
Like you're not. It's not good for you.
That's why I laughed so hard when Kyle Lowry. Do you remember this back in the 2016 Eastern Conference Final there? And Kyle Lowry just touched LeBron James. LeBron's like,
Yeah.
like the Matrix is going back. I'm like, come on, LeBron, come on, stop that.
You got to
Stop
embellish
that.
it a little. Yeah. You got to embellish it a little bit.
Well, that's why he was in that movie there, right? I can't even remember it. With
Who, LeBron?
yeah, LeBron was in that movie. He was Buddy's best friend there. Was dating that comedian that.
What was it? I don't remember. I didn't even watch that train wreck.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Train wreck. Yeah. That's what it was.
That's right. Yeah, train wreck. Hold it. There you go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that was LeBron's acting chops right there, and he just brought it out to the court a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know that Space Jam 2 has
Space Jam.
Space Jam 2's been in the making for like 4 years and they haven't released it yet. I think that movie has to be terrible. It just has. I love the original Space
Beyond.
Jam is my movie. Right? I'll still watch it. The second one has to be gross because it's 4 years in the making. It's not
Terrible.
Stop it.
Terrible.
All right, Corey. I did want to ask you this here because this is very interesting to me because we've had discussions here offline, talking about it. NHL borrowing about $1 billion. I know of teams borrowing money to keep afloat, but a whole league borrowing money to keep afloat. And you were saying this is like a normal.
Yeah, I was reading that that what they did was borrowing that money basically to allow if different franchises needed basically money to help offset costs and things like that even this idea wasn't generated. It wasn't just an NHL like came forward and they said, hey, look, we're desperate, we need this money. That this model, this infrastructure has been done by other sports leagues, and that it was a way to provide a buffer. And that's and we've talked, NHL is not as successful as NFL, baseball, basketball. You know what I mean?
If we were to go away in the States, I don't think the states are going to be like, ooh, okay. There might be a few northeastern states, but
they'll be.
Well, it's not. And I mean, I think, I don't know if I told you, I mean, there was a time when on the ship we were down in Florida and we went to go see a San Jose, Florida game. And this was back 2010. And I mean, we went to a little hole in the wall bar, and Danny Heatley was there with Ryan Clough and Nick Wallin. And, we were telling those guys, yeah, we're Canadians, but they still didn't think we knew who they were. And here we are in Florida. And it's like, you guys are NHL players, because Danny Heatley standing beside me, he's like, yeah, I'm Danny. I'm like, yeah, I know him from Canada.
I know who you are. Yeah. I know who you are.
What's interesting though is that I've run into some guys even in downtown Seattle that play for the Mariners.
Yeah.
The populations are so big in those areas that those guys can really move in and out, because you think about even baseball players, the fans are, it's a decent number of fans, right? Yeah. But when you think about it in terms of population and who's really paying attention, they can move in and out of big cities that way. You couldn't put them in a small town, right?
No. Yeah.
Because everyone would automatically know. But in the bigger cities where there's other stuff to do, it's not surprising those guys can move around, especially hockey players and football players that, typically have helmets on and look a little bit and pads, and they just look a little bit. I remember
But I think they could walk around too, because there are people that will recognize them, but they just don't want to be that jerk face, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I had lots of friends in Toronto that said, back when Vince Carter was playing there, you'd see Vince around town, and a lot of those guys used to frequent some of the clubs on Yonge Street, some of the ones with ladies of the pole and
the red light district, is that what it is?
Yeah, other ones. Yeah. So I mean, I've had
Matt
guys
Sundin. Yeah, we ended up running into Matt Sundin at Club Meow. This is back in 2000.
Club Meow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was downtown. Yeah, downtown, Lakeshore.
It better be with a name like that. That would be deceiving if it wasn't.
They don't exist anymore. Meow.
Yeah.
Jeez. But that was a nice nightclub. Yeah.
That because Vince Carter moved out of town, or what? Tracy McGrady left, or what happened?
Well, I heard those guys used to go downtown. They would be downtown, and friends would run into them. And I heard, a guy that a coworker that I had that lived in Toronto, and he said there was one night he was at one of the bars downtown, and it was after a Raptors and Spurs game, and they were at the bar, and they were all doing a "Can you top this?" So they were, who had the most expensive round of drinks. So if you were lucky enough to be in the bar, you were drinking for free, you know, because some of the guys, Tim Duncan, well, David Robinson was still playing, and these guys were putting the finishing touches on. They were going second last because they had the big contracts. So you're talking about rounds of drinks that are $4,000 or $5,000. So like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Just put it, you know, I got this one. Okay, no. Raptors guys, yeah, no, I got this one. No. David Robinson got this one. Yeah, $10,000. So
guys that are making $17 to $27 million a year, like what's the $5,000 bear tab?
Yeah,
what is it to them?
Yeah, especially in your 20s.
Yeah.
No, agreed.
Popular.
Well, I mean, like, geez, even when I said that we were at Danny Heatley down at the Elbow Room in Florida, we sat with those guys for 2, maybe 3 hours, and Danny Heatley paid for all the drinks. And then he was like, yeah, we got practice tomorrow morning. We're going to head out, boys. Do you guys want another round before I take off? I was like, oh, nobody complained.
Which team was he playing for at that time?
He was playing for San Jose.
Oh, this is near the end of his career then, eh?
Yeah, towards the end. But you know what? The year that he was still playing for San Jose, he was still putting up over 30 goals. So, like, when we ran into those guys there, you know, him and Ryan Clough were hanging out, and you know, Danny Heatley was still putting up numbers. It was pretty recent when he'd gone from Ottawa to San Jose, but
that was okay.
You know, it was before he was in the real twilight of his career.
Right.
I wonder if those guys do that, you know, the buying the drinks in the bar and that kind of stuff, just because it keeps people off them.
I don't know. I think at the time it might have been the fact that we were Canadian military. Hey, look, and I think there was a bit of appreciation from Danny and Ryan, and you know, Ryan Close from Newfoundland. We had a few guys that were from Newfoundland. You know, we had associate stories. I mean, you know, there was a guy that Sean, we've already mentioned before, Jody Shelley. He was had played for the Moosehead, so I knew him from here. So what I mentioned to Ryan, because Jody had played for San Jose at the time, I was like, yeah, actually, I know Jody from Halifax. So that was another like, oh, hey, that's cool. You know, we had collaborative stories and things like that. So I think they were genuinely,
oh my gosh,
you know, good guys.
All right.
I think there's other situations where they're kind of like, maybe, you know, leave me alone. I'm not going to buy anything. I'm going to walk away.
100%.
Corey, you got to tell Brad about the Brad Marchand story in Halifax on your car.
Oh, you remember that? Yeah.
Well, you told it, and I cracked up when I heard it.
Yeah.
It was like, that's the most Brad Marchand thing I've ever heard.
It was a pretty Brad Marchand thing at the early part of his career. So, yeah, it was the year that the Bruins had won the Cup, and Brad Marchand being basically a Halifax guy. Me and some friends, we were on our way downtown. Now, people that aren't from Halifax won't necessarily know where the area is, but either way, I was driving my car. We pulled up to a intersection, hit the red light, was waiting to turn right to park in the area where the bars are, and then I saw a group of people coming up the street, walking by us at the crosswalk, and then see this guy. He's kind of like, they're woo, you know, partying and laughing. And then he comes over to the hood of my car, and he's like banging on the hood of my car, woo! And then I look up, and I'm like, that's Brad Marchand, because my brother-in-law is a big Bruins fan, and he's just in the parade the next day with the Stanley Cup for the Natal Day parade, and I rolled out a window, get the F off my car, Marchand, I don't even like you. Yeah, so here he was out on the town, you know, celebrating his Stanley Cup win with you know, friends and family, and here he was banging on the hood of my car. He was out partying. Oh yeah.
I like how it wasn't there was some random dude that you just called him by name, like, I know who you are, get off my
car. Yeah, it's surprising. You never know who you're going to run into in downtown Halifax, because it was, you know, the bars there, and I think it was only, well, the year that Dallas won the Stanley Cup, and you know, the questionable. Is the foot, the skate in the crease? In
the crease or not? Yeah.
But that year they won, like within a week, I was downtown, and we were at my apartment. Cheers, the whole Liquor Dome thing.
Yeah.
And they were in town for a golf tournament. So Gretzky was walking around handing out flowers. Brett Hull was standing there with Ty Domi. So I mean, you know, here they were just in the bar. It's kind of surprising how tall they're not. You know, when
Yeah.
you're, I'm 6'2",
Not in
so
skates. Yeah.
I remember the
Yeah.
first time that I
Brett
saw
Hall
an
and Ty Domi
NFL
are
player
not the
in
tallest
like
of guys,
in the
but
wild.
Now that was the situation, Brad. I'll tell you that those guys were a little less on the side of, I'm not buying you a drink.
Yeah, well, I think there's tiers, right? It's the guy if they're a potential Hall of Famer, I don't know that they're as great, but they're
Yeah, Brett Hall wasn't as social. Ty was a little more
their
social.
pressure and like their social give is a lot
Yeah.
higher than your average player.
Agreed. Yeah.
Right. I think that's the thing for me. I've had a bunch of experiences with just normal dudes that play, right? Just your regular starters or bench play. You know what I mean? And they're usually pretty cool. But like the elite dudes, the all-stars, those guys, like they're a little more standoffish.
Yeah. Well, because they're probably used to being hounded.
They probably get hounded all the time, and dudes want to, spit in their mouth while they're like telling stories. And like, just think about like if you're in a bar. You ever been in a bar talking to someone and they're really excited to talk to you, like the spits in your eye, and like you don't want none of that. And if you're
I'm the news, not the weather.
if you're famous like that, you probably get
chance of showers.
Yeah.
No, 100% agree. 100% agree.
Well, I mean, Wayne Gretzky, though, I can really imagine, because I would imagine that's a recognizable face all over.
Oh yeah,
Europe, North America,
worldwide.
He's a worldwide superstar, right?
It's like Michael Jordan.
Yeah, like Jordan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although I like to think that Jordan's cooler than Gretzky and would buy you a drink, but
I would hope so.
Yeah,
I don't think Michael's hurting for any money.
Hey, Mike, I bet you I could race his beer down. He'd be like $50.
I think you're.
Yeah,
but
look at the drinking game.
Yep. As long as you got some competition going, Mike's in.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Can you imagine being trash talked by Jordan?
Yeah.
Just trash talking you, man. Oh.
Yeah.
I'd love that. Well, actually, now, having said that, now, Sean, I mentioned to you that a girl that I went to school with, a friend of mine, her son was drafted and plays for Charlotte. So Nate Darling. So he's there, and they had to go down to his mom and his stepfather. They went down to visit him.
We talked about this story. Yes.
They went down because he made the team, from the taxi squad, made the team. So he was getting set up because he's living in the condos that are provided by the Hornets.
Yeah.
Not by, he's not buying his own place down there because he's new. So they went, he showed him around. He's like, hey, look, here's the place, open up the closet, already fully furnished. So, I mean, like, they're looking after their players. Like, here's all these clothes, sneakers, the whole 9 yards. And, so Mom, from here, we're going to, we got to go have dinner with the team and the owner. The stepfather's a little bit like, the owner? Well, because everybody knows, Michael. You're getting to meet Michael. So not only it's double bubble, you're getting, the boys in the NBA, but also he's playing on a team that's owned by majority owner Michael Jordan. I don't want to say majority owner, but I know he's an owner. Yeah. So, but so I mean, the icing on the cake doesn't get much better than that. He said it was good conversation.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I still think that Michael goes to practice and busts those guys' ass, though.
Yeah. Because we can still play, probably. Jeez.
That's it.
Come down to practice.
No. Oh, one-on-one. He can play one-on-one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'd love to be a fly on the wall at that practice with young Mr. Ball. Looks like he could be on his way to a Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Yeah, he looks good, man. Like,
does he?
I'm just glad his dad stayed out of that one. Jeez, what a fiasco he is.
After what happened with the first one, he's probably.
Well, and I wouldn't be surprised if Michael's probably telling him, don't bother bringing that big baller brand down here or you can beat it.
I'm sure that he did. They already had that question about who could win whatever, and Michael was like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, get out of here. Yeah.
I'll trade you Michael so fast and make your head spin.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So what is going on with Ottawa and Vancouver right now? Like the Canadian division, I mean, I'm sure there's problems in every single division in the NHL right now. The fact that you're playing 10 games, right? But I'm sick and tired of hearing Montreal fans like, oh, we're so good. We beat Vancouver 4 times. Is it? Yeah.
Well, I think
you beat Vancouver.
Well,
Tyler Toffoli knows exactly whatever Vancouver's bringing out, but then they get spanked up. The dirty Habs. They get spanked up by the Senators, who only has 2 victories this season. Thank you.
I know one of them is against the Leafs.
I know it is. I know it is. Like I'm not even bragging that we went and we beat Vancouver last night. I'm not even bragging about it. Yeah, we beat them 7-3. Well, Montreal beat them 4 times. We should beat them.
Well, I mean, a lot of the question right away for both of those teams comes down to a lot of the talk is management. Because for one, you look at the coach. The coach, you get what you get, and make the best of it. So when you look at Vancouver, Travis Green, great coach.
Is he a great coach?
He is a good coach. He's a player's coach. He's been there, and you know what? He did good things with Vancouver at a time when they weren't expected to be doing good.
That was
good
last
things.
season. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
If you look at Vancouver and what the deal they've been handed now, I think if you looked at it on paper, you might indicate that some of their issues have more to do with how the team was managed by letting Markstrom go. Okay, you lose Markstrom,
but you gain Holtby.
But they're 2 different players, and Markstrom's on the rise. Holtby might be in the decline, and unfortunately,
but Thatcher Demko, I think, is better than Markstrom. I do think that's the future of the Canucks.
Which is why the question is, why did you need to bring in Holtby this year if you could have gone with Thatcher Demko as your number 1 and then
there's a lot of chemistry issues in Vancouver.
Oh
yeah.
I think that in the state of the world, in all sports leagues, the people that have the most roster turnovers are having the most problems.
Well, yeah, and Vancouver, they like the question was because Toffoli wanted to stay. Toffoli wanted to stay in Vancouver,
but they didn't want to pay him.
Well, they didn't want to pay him, and then so even with Tanev, they didn't want to pay him. So
which is stupid.
Well, but they lose Tanev, and then they sign Schmidt. So it's like the money's comparable. And then you lose Toffoli, you keep Virtanen, you're signing some other guys because they lost Stetcher. Stetcher signed for less money than he was making in Vancouver to sign in Detroit just because of the way things were handled. And you bring in Holtby where you could have got a cheaper goalie and had that money to sign Toffoli. So I guess, there's always more internal stuff, but when, the GM, he's like, well, if we had more time. I'm sure if you or I, if we were a professional athlete, you want to make sure you get a contract to play, especially in a
your
COVID
career
environment
short.
where
You're
not getting the money you would have got normally.
Yeah.
Your
career is short. You don't want to be taking pay cuts, right? You want to be trying to maximize
if you're getting offers
days.
Too. And that's the thing. If Toffoli's getting an offer to go to Montreal, he's like, well, I would have really liked to go to Vancouver if that's the case. But Vancouver's like, well, we're not there yet. We still got to figure out the other stuff.
Montreal, I will never slag Montreal as far as how well they look this season because they did get bigger. They got a little bit better. But
isn't that your rival?
Yes, it is my rival. Absolutely. They did get bigger. They got a little bit better. Are they better than the Leafs? No.
Sounds like you're going to give me slag, whatever that means. Whatever slag means.
Sorry, Brad.
Slag them.
Do you see how Brad starts looking at the phone when we start talking NHL? All of a sudden, it's like, oh god,
that's okay.
They're talking about their hockey.
Shopping for Kraken gear, as a matter of fact.
Is that it? Okay, all right. That's acceptable. That's acceptable.
Listen, the Seattle's good. I'd be excited for what's going to happen for Seattle because I think a lot of the teams that have been trading and bringing people in are doing it in plans of the expansion draft, knowing that you're only going to be able to protect so many players.
The way the NHL has their expansion set up is a beautiful thing for,
especially now.
What's so frustrating for me for hockey is that they have that set up to get a winning team in early to build a fan base, but they can't market or get TV deals to save their ass, and that's why they have to borrow this money. And I understand that that's a practice. I know everyone has done that to some degree, right? Yeah. That's business practice.
Yeah.
The fact that the NHL was vocal about it just makes me nervous. I think their leadership group, when it comes to getting because you could get a TV contract in local markets, they refuse to do so because their price is so high. They're overvalued.
Yeah. Well, Gary Bettman needs to go. Gary Bettman needs to go.
Yeah. Listen, I'm how far am I from Vancouver? 60 miles, maybe, right? So I can watch hockey because I get CBC because it's across the border, right? But otherwise, I can't watch hockey.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we have sports at this point, to be honest with you. I just like to
I 100% agree. 100%. Life was pretty boring when there was no actual sports on at the time. And I mentioned to you, Sean, like the NHL Network was free. You could watch all the replay games you wanted. They were on TV. I took advantage. I watched a lot of hockey.
The NFL had the same thing, and I picked it up on my iPad. I watched 2 full seasons of Seahawks football.
Oh, nice.
So you can watch any season you wanted, games in full. And so when that ran out, I Googled the best games of 2019. I watched all those games.
Nice.
Man. Yeah, it just felt a little bit gross. Because there were some games I hadn't seen because they had been on the same time as like the Seahawks game was. I was able to catch up on some of that. The Toronto Maple Leafs are the second most valuable NHL franchise.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll stick with that one, Sean.
I like it.
Who's number 1? Montreal?
No, Montreal is number 3.
Wow.
Boston?
New York Rangers.
See, New York, and New York always seems to find a way.
Find a way in there, eh?
Yeah.
I was just looking at that.
Blackhawks and the Boston Bruins wrap up the top 5.
Oh, yeah, your original 6 teams.
Yeah. Darn you, bro.
Arizona Coyotes, dead last.
Yeah.
That does
dead
not
last. That
surprise
doesn't surprise me at all. Not
that
one bit.
does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Now, could the Leafs and the Arizona Coyotes years down the road end up finding themselves in a predicament where Austin Matthews decides to make his way home?
Wants to go
to
home.
save the
Exactly.
franchise.
Maybe.
It's always a possibility.
Oh,
always
man.
a possibility.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, they said Toronto was fearful that that they wanted to sign Matthews to his contract because they knew that Arizona was basically ready to give him an offer sheet, which would have been the largest that I think anyone would have seen, because they were like, listen, if we have an opportunity to get this guy to come home to play in Arizona to, reinvigorate our franchise, we're going to do it. So I think that's why Austin Matthews has a very nice contract that he does.
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is Edmonton a dumpster fire?
It's hard to say, man.
They've got the highest paid player, and
they got the best player in the world. They got the best player. I don't care what Reed says. Reed is wrong. They got the best player
in the world.
Right now, heads and shoulders, Connor McDavid is the best player in the world.
Connor McDavid is, of course, it's all subjective opinion. I would agree that Connor McDavid right now is the best player in the world, and what he's doing, what he can do. When you watch him, this guy is unreal, and he is changing. He's amazing for what he can do out there. And they still talk Sidney Crosby. He's the ambassador. He is the guy. And if you ask Connor, he's going to still say Sidney Crosby's the best player in the league. But he's
a smart man.
How long has McDavid been in the league?
I think
6 years. 6 years.
Yes, maybe. Yeah, this will be going on his 6th year. So
if not his 7th. Yeah.
Yeah, Edmonton's issue is their problems always tend to be mismanagement. So mismanaged money, guys getting contracts that they shouldn't, and then it handcuffs the team like any other sport. But Edmonton right now, they're victims of that. They're handcuffed by bad contracts, which was the Lucic contract that then they traded with Calgary to get James Neal. They're handcuffed by that.
Yeah.
They're handcuffed. They're paying some guys. They brought in. They're just even Ken Holland, the new GM, came from Detroit. He's made some questionable moves. Like at the end of the season last year, he brought in Andreas Athanasiou from Detroit for 2 second-round picks.
It's rough, especially when he comes from there, right? Like that's
Athanasiou didn't play in the bubble. I think he played maybe a total of 9 games, and then this season they didn't re-sign him. So Edmonton
it's a
gave
waste
up
of 2 picks right away for nothing.
2 second-round picks for nothing. They got nothing.
And that's the other thing, too, is that they had 5 years in a row. They had the first-round draft pick 5 years in a row. And they kept on drafting these 180-pound guys to be, you're going to be the next star. No, you're not. No. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, come on. The Nuge.
Yeah, but Nuge is a really good player.
He is a good player.
But when he was coming out, he was like, if you watch pre-scouting stuff about Nugent-Hopkins, when he was coming out, he was the McDavid of his time. He was the Crosby of his time, because he was coming out of Red Deer.
Yeah, he was coming out of Red Deer, but he was 180 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah, but the thing is that if you look at Connor McDavid when he was playing for Erie, when he was in the OHL, a small, skinny kid who was highly touted as the next one. So it's tough to say
Crosby, a big
because
dude.
Crosby's stocky. So
Yeah.
he's wider. Like he's known for having probably the biggest, most built quads in the league because his low center of gravity, you can't get him off the puck. So, and he's a workout fanatic too. So he's he's kind of got that Jordan-esque kind of competitiveness that drives him to work harder. So, because Crosby's a guy that's from here where Sean and I lived.
I always thought that Crosby was a Kobe Bryant comparison.
Yeah.
That he took some of Wayne Gretzky's leadership from his career and used that to guide him early in his career.
For sure. I would say that. I mean, Crosby definitely hits the mold of ambassador because if you think since day one, he's come in, he's been the guy, the torch has been passed.
Well, when Gretzky shows up, Gretzky shows up when you're a Timbit, right? Like when you're a little Timbit. And Gretzky's
I mean, Sean, you're not from here like I'm from here. And I mean, the talk of Crosby growing up, the talk of Nathan McKinnon growing up, like these guys were folklore,
touted.
You know what I mean?
They've been looked at since they were like 8.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, they've been looked at.
When there was local games here and these guys were kids, you're talking about like almost selling out arenas that they were like airing their games because these guys, it was like, you got to see this kid play.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember hearing about Sidney Crosby.
Was Sidney more like LeBron?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
it was like that kind of hype, here in Canada.
LeBron was on ESPN.
Yes. I remember watching this high school game on ESPN.
Everybody watched the game. It's Carmelo versus LeBron, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
I remember.
In high school.
And that's the thing is those guys, well, because they've got the Quebec Major Junior League here in Canada, so these guys are playing at 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And some of the names,
really 16.
Yeah.
And so
some of the names that have come out of the queue, right? Like think about it. Like even just recently, I mean, Nate McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, but then you think about the old time guys that came out of there like Fleury, like J.S. Jaguar, like Mario Lemieux. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like how is these guys fifth on that list of coming out there? What are you doing? Why? How are you?
Well, Lemieux would be number 1 now. Come on now.
No, he wasn't. He was number 5 on your list.
Well, that's because we're just naming people. I didn't have a numerical value of just naming people.
You should have.
Well, I mean, even Lafreniere this year, going number 1 overall, coming from the queue. Another team that Crosby played for. Out of Rimouski. Rimouski's been pumping up pretty good.
Yeah.
Because that's Le Cavalier, Brad Richards. That's their old stomping ground too. Yeah. So.
Rimouski, huh?
I want to ask you guys something as Maple Leaf fans. I need to ask a question.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys are familiar with the Amazon Prime series All or Nothing? It's a bit of a Hard Knocks-ish.
Yeah. You
guys know that your Maple Leafs are moving in that direction for this year. They're going to be on the All or Nothing. They're gearing up.
No, this is going to be good.
Oh, really?
I'm going to be watching that. I know we were on the HBO 24/7. This is a few years back when we were getting ready to play Detroit and that
thing
ice.
About that, I would want to know is like with all the pressure already going on, do you want cameras having access to everybody?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. To be honest, Brad, a lot of these Canadian teams and Toronto is the Canada mecca of hockey. So if you're there, these guys expect that, like the notoriety for hockey is 24/7.
Let me tell you, the hardest places to play hockey in, it will be Montreal and Toronto.
Yeah.
That's above every other team, with the 32nd team being Seattle, Montreal and Toronto. Because the media outlets, and the media outlets are just vicious on them. Yeah.
And Sean, you'd agree is that they live and breathe hockey in Montreal and Toronto. It is by far it's the number one thing. Like, I don't know if people are going to talk about religion, they're going to talk about hockey. That's it. So if you've got, and I think these teams anyway, because Montreal and a lot of these teams, they have their own shows that they air that they might not follow the teams 24/7. That would be interesting to see, but they do tend to follow these guys.
The All or Nothing series are compelling because of the access they have.
I can't wait to see that.
The access no one else has, right?
I can't wait to see that.
Which is great.
You know what? To attest to this too is like people that come over from other countries when they come into Canada and they end up watching hockey, they end up getting involved into it because it's so much, and especially the coverage that we have here in Canada on hockey. I will never forget though when I was visiting my family and they were pretty like, I think 15 years living in Canada, and a lot of them just didn't lose their accents or anything, right? So they had the really thick East Indian accent, and I'm there, we're talking, and all of a sudden I'm like, can you believe Roberto Luongo in Game 7 there? It's like, oh my god. Oh my god, Roberto Luongo stinks. He stinks. I'm like, dang.
Bobby Lou. Yeah.
I couldn't believe the way that he could play under the pressure. He couldn't play under the pressure. Let me tell you something.
But all you're doing is making the argument that the NHL has to be better about getting games on TV.
Yeah,
outside of Canada for sure.
Outside of Canada,
yes,
for sure.
I agree. In Canada, you can
outside
watch
of Canada for sure.
That's the thing. But I think we can all agree that the money that's going to sustain that league lives in America.
For sure.
It does.
And I mean,
Absolutely.
you see it with NFL, NBA, MLB, like.
Well, even look smaller at Major League Soccer and how successful that league is right now, and it's
absolutely
because of the TV contracts. Like you have to give access to the sport. You can't be.
Bettman's got to go. Bettman's been in way too long, and there's already been like how many shutdowns has happened since he's taken like the reins? Like I think 2, and then there was one where it was just like we're not coming back at all. It's like you can't have that happening.
It would be nice to see a changing of the guard because I would say, you know, if we're all ballpark around the same age, most of our adult life or most of our lives, Bettman has been at the helm of the NHL.
Yes,
he was. I think
my adult life, he's been at the helm of it.
Yeah,
adult life.
He said that he kind of took his step from David Stern because I think Stern was his guru, and that's how he kind of learned in that. Commissioner role.
Well, he came out of the NBA, right?
I've never been so upset to hear David Stern's name. It's so gross.
But I mean,
Just for Men segment coming up here, dude. I am stoked. This is a great card though. But it looks like a card from 2012. Let's face it. Alistair Overeem, Alexander Volkov. Like Overeem, we've heard forever. He had a great last fight there.
Yeah.
And Volkov is a great fighter. I mean, let's face it, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, when he knocked him out, it was in the 5th round, and he was gassed, and he just got that one and just touched his chin, put him right out, right?
Well, that's why the heavyweight division is so fun.
Well, that's it. It only takes one. No
one's really ever out in a heavyweight fight until they're out.
And the thing is that, here's the thing. Back in the day, Overeem used to be like such a stud, right? Like there's not too many people bigger than Overeem.
Yeah, he had those Mexican supplements that were helping him be a
probably. But I mean him and Lesnar were like the same size, right? Like
Barry Bonds got the same head size, man. That's the same, and they ended up the same. You can't.
But this is the first time. This is the first time where I think he's actually doesn't have the size advantage against Volkov, because Volkov is a big man. Tell me I'm wrong, Brad. Tell me I'm wrong, Corey. Brad's
agree. Yeah.
He's a big man. I don't know if you ever seen Volkov. Volkov is.
I had to help with some breakfast deal there. Sorry.
No, absolutely not a problem. So the reach is identical, but if you look at the height, he's taller. He is taller, Volkov.
Yeah, it might not be the size advantage or not. We'll have to see how it goes.
I guarantee you they're both coming at the top.
It's the most frustrating fighter for me because you never know which Overeem you're going to get.
You're absolutely correct. But I think he's 40, so he knows his shelf life to go for that title right now is very limited. As soon as you turn 40 in the fight game, it's not the same. You know what I mean? Like things change. The very fact that they let the Spider fight Anderson Silva.
You know how much money Anderson Silva made Dana White?
Oh, I believe you.
Man,
but he's 44. It's like
doesn't matter. Someone makes you that much money, they want something on the way out, like you give it to him. That was his gold watch, right? That's all.
Yeah, I guess so. Paid Peyton Crimson. That's exactly what it was. It was Peyton Crimson, man. It's like, geez. Unbelievable. Anyways, though, I'm looking forward to this fight. That's a great main event.
Yeah.
I'm happy that in 2 weeks it's Curtis Blades against Derek Lewis, though. That's gonna be
That's the best heavyweight.
that's free for free.
Donating all that money to the Leafs.
That's it for free.
Uncle Dana
Corey,
loves the kids, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about that conversation when we were talking about there about Pascal Siakam getting all that money. He's like, you're going to give me? Me?
Yep. Yep. Well, you're the only one left. Yeah. Might as well give someone.
Kawhi's gone. You need it.
Yeah. You want to be the guy. Yep.
All right. Corey
You got the
Sanhagen.
default contract, is that what you're saying? Yeah,
Yeah,
you got the
yeah.
default.
You're going to give me all this
We got
money?
a salary cap floor, Pascal. We gotta give somebody the money.
Yeah.
Me?
I'll be your guy. Yeah. Serge is gone. Do I get the cooking show?
That's it.
Serge left. He left all his scars in the locker. Been real.
Oh,
Maybe
my.
scars where I'm going.
Yeah.
You guys go. And keep
Oh.
Yeah. Pascal's the ambassador in the six, buddy. He's the guy. He's the guy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Spicy
Is
P.
Drake's sidekick now?
Yeah.
Is it Drake's sidekick? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? It's a possibility, man. Hey,
Who knows?
Spicy P. Spicy P.
Spicy
Let's go.
P. Well,
I'm gonna hit Tampa.
I would love for Toronto to do something and figure it out what they're gonna do. You know, like maybe make me a happy person and bring in something like Bradley Beal or something. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Like,
It was
Something.
a possibility till this week. Bradley Beal don't want to go nowhere. He's
No,
drinking the
I know.
Westbrook juice.
he's happy to stay. Maybe
He's
maybe
happy
at the end of the
to stay.
season.
He's gonna be upset.
Yeah.
Everyone's drank that Westbrook juice and no one's got the benefit from it.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
You're right.
he deserves- Bradley Beal should go somewhere like Toronto. It would be
Well, they lost out on the Greek. You know, I
Yeah.
would love to see them because that's the thing. They're missing someone. They
Hey,
need
the price. The price, though, for that, it's going to be Kyle Lowry.
you know you
Kyle
could do,
Lowry and some picks.
I don't know though. I
no,
think they'd want youth.
yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you're
I
right.
don't know if they would want to take back Kyle Lowry, you know, and I don't know if Toronto would want to give him up because, you know, I think would you want him there with Kyle?
Yeah,
Washington,
absolutely.
Washington doesn't want Kyle Lowry.
No.
But why did
Not
you
a-
sign Fred Van Vliet? Why did you sign Fred Van Vliet to all that money?
You have a salary cap floor. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, and that's hey, look, the boys are good. They brought the championship to Toronto, but at the end of the day, it still looks a little bit like Fred, you're getting paid, Pascal, you're getting paid because well, who else are we giving the money to?
That's it.
You know, and it's I'm not dogging the Raptors because I
No.
love the Raps. It's just
Me?
who else are you giving the money to?
That's it.
Because unfortunately, you know, this season we lost a bunch of people, and you haven't replaced them. And the people that they're really
Hey,
replacing
Chris
them with,
Boucher has been playing lights out
He
basketball.
looked like he was on the verge last year at the end, for sure. Right?
Yeah.
He feels like he's the next. But
Yeah.
I think you can move Fred on.
Yeah.
Maybe get back Bradley Beal, Fred in the pick, and maybe a young player. It's like Chris in that spot.
Yeah.
you want a marquee player that you can really, you
You gotta
know,
have a super
Build
team.
off of.
well,
Yeah.
especially when it's the only Canadian team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're repping for the
Great
only
point. And that
Canadian
was,
team.
I think they wanted Kawhi to be that, and Kawhi's never going to be that.
No,
No.
I agree. He doesn't want to. That's not him. He doesn't want to be that person.
No. He'd rather work with others doing that, though.
Well,
But
I think
basketball
personality-wise, he's happy to not be the face of a franchise.
No. The very
I think
fact he's driving the same
personality-wise,
car.
he can't be the face of a franchise.
No.
I don't think the personality. I don't
No.
think the personality he has allows him to be that way.
No.
No,
Why
not
he
at all.
went to
No.
Like think about why he went to San Diego State.
Yeah.
Like he was talented enough to not go to San Diego State.
Yep.
Went there so he could be close to home and not have anxiety.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not going to be the face of your franchise.
No, not at all. And he was successful in San Antonio because he didn't have to be the face of the franchise.
Yep.
No, exactly. You're absolutely correct because Tim Duncan's
have-
still there.
well, and you have Pop, right? And that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
take away from your head coach there, but he's not Pop either.
Nope.
You know what I mean? He's a great coach. Like again, not taking anything away from him because he's not. He's a fantastic coach.
All right.
Even-
What do you think of Michael Johnson fighting Clay Guida? Like I haven't seen Clay Guida in forever.
I think that they have they're tying for the most fight histories together. Like, you know what I mean? Like they have the most fights combined going into the round tonight, which
Yeah, they've both been there. Yeah, but Clay Guida, I remember back in like 2010, man, the Carpenter. The Carpenter, you know.
I think it was back earlier than that.
The Carpenter.
That's
I think
it.
it was back earlier than that. Yeah, remember he was like building houses on his,
Dude, he was a number one contender. Do you remember he was a number one contender? Him and TJ Grant were like number one contenders for that title. Back in the day, and then dropped off. And now TJ is teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu out here in Dartmouth area, and Clay Guida is still fighting, but it's expensive. It's an expensive thing. So whatever Clay is doing in order to keep going, it's impressive. Same thing with Frankie Edgar. I mean, Frankie Edgar held the title, but here he is still going. What do you think about that, Brad?
I think those guys are talented. I think, it's even less about the money it takes to get there. I think that Guida and Edgar both got into good gyms, right? That help facilitate and fund that role. That's the thing. That's what keeps some of these guys going, is how they've offset their, their fandom or whatever you want to call it, right? They're not just teaching, they're teaching at high level gyms that can put them out and put them in camps.
Let me tell you something though. TJ Grant, if I were to go anywhere here in Halifax to learn BJJ, it's going to be with TJ Grant.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but it's not New Mexico or
no,
those other places. They're at elite world class facilities, and that's going to help.
You think about a guy like that back then in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Okay, working door. Like, because he worked door. You remember that when he worked at Bubbles Mansion there, Corey? Worked door at Bubbles Mansion. Bubbles Mansion.
What is that?
Remember the Trailer Park Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bubbles with the glasses.
Bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah. And in America, when you say something's named Bubbles, it usually has a different connotation. That's why I was there.
Yeah. It sounded like a strip bar. Yeah. Bubbles Mansion.
Bubbles. So he worked at Bubbles Mansion, and he was training as well. And the thing is that you think about it, he never left Halifax to train. He trained here. He was still teaching people here, training, became a number one contender, and then he gets that injury. And it throws everything off. But I remember hearing stories about this guy, about the people he had to fly in. Because you're in Nova Scotia. You have to fly people in order to teach you things. You need to fly in a boxing coach. You need to fly in a wrestling coach. You need to fly in a kickboxing coach. It adds up, right?
It does. And that's just the nature of the game, right? That's the challenge everybody takes. I mean, how many guys you see that they, instead of flying people in, they go fly somewhere else and spend a camp somewhere, right?
No, absolutely. But I mean, when you look at Canadians,
personal convictions that each fighter takes on, and that's
because GSP was really one of the pioneers when it comes to that, as far as just flying people in, and then ended up starting TriStar, right? Think about that, Brad. He was a pioneer for that. What are you laughing about over there?
Because Matt Hughes beat his ass.
Matt Hughes got beat up after the fact. Come on now.
When he started flying people in, George was like, man, I gotta do something.
I gotta fly some people in.
I gotta fly some people in. My anxiety's too high for me to travel. They won't let me travel.
Listen, it's
I can only go to the bathroom, my own toilet in my house. I can't fly. That's why you always want to have fights in Toronto, because they didn't want to travel. He was scared to be.
No, it was Quebec. It was Quebec because Toronto was illegal for a little while. Yeah, but my favorite though, okay, which I'll never forget.
St. Pierre story.
Yeah, it is. Oh. So we were watching UFC back in the day. This is like 2007 when they were still on Spike and everything, right? And they'd have the UFC story, and they're talking to George because they gave George a Harley Davidson, right? It's like, you were fight of the year. And then he was talking about how much he loved going to the Keg. It's like, that's my number one. That's my number one restaurant. I love the Keg. I love it. And I'm like, oh, George is so young. He's talking about the Keg, and he's never been to a Ruth Chris Steakhouse. He's never been to Smith and Walensky's. He's talking about the Keg like it's all this. It's like the Keg is just like
stomach issues.
Huh?
That's why you had all them stomach issues.
Well, him and Brock Lesnar now. Come on now.
Oh, Brock got it. Brock had a different. He got it. It's a different one.
Yeah.
How did he get it? A little bit of Mexican supplements there too.
I Maybe.
Man. Hey, it is Black History Month. That is awesome that we're into this there. I still don't understand why they don't do it in January, though, when you have MLK Day in January. It's like, like Stevie Wonder should have pushed a little harder for that, maybe to push it that way. I don't know. But, well, Stevie Wonder was like one of the biggest reasons why we have MLK Day, right? In the States. Stevie Wonder pushed for that. It was smart man.
Very.
I feel terrible. Like right now, Christopher Plummer died. And that's very sad. I'll be talking about him later. And Hank Aaron just passed away just a week and a half ago, and we didn't even talk about that there due to COVID complications. And then Charlie Pride, due to COVID complications, died 2 months ago. I totally forgot about that. We were talking about Charlie Pride, and I remember all of a sudden he passed away, and then you get busy and you're thinking about other things, and then, man, what a legendary man when I think about this guy. Can you imagine you're in the country music entertainment area there where it's dominated by like Hank Williams Jr., George Jones, all these guys. And here you are, and you win the country music. You're the first Black man to win the country music award for your songs. And your songs are stellar. I don't know if you guys know any Charlie Pride songs. Do you guys know any Charlie Pride songs at all?
Not overly familiar,
Yeah.
not my genre, but yes, very familiar with the artist and his era and things like that.
Man, I'm going to see if I can get this up here.
He's gonna get his band.
Get his band?
Charlie Pride.
Can't be playing music we don't own. It's gonna get us killed off.
Oh, that's true. Well, we can't do that. Yeah. You're right. Look at
Don't
you.
play it.
Listen, Charlie
We like to
Pride,
talk about
Kiss an Angel Good Morning. To me, that is like the most gangster song I've ever heard, man.
it.
Coming
That's
out
what he was
there.
going for.
Dude,
Gangster.
it's like, you got to kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home.
There you go.
Like, dude.
I'm almost upset that I'm not going to be in the field during the field phase, Sean, to hear you sing that to me every morning. Serenade.
It's our FaceTime, Corey. Make sure he sings to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved the fact, and when you think about it, in an industry like country music at that time, that's so avant-garde when you think about that. Just coming out there and you know what? I'm doing what I'm doing.
Well, if you think back then when he was around, those were times when if you were putting out albums, they weren't putting your face on the cover because the thought was, they're not going to buy an album with a Black person on there. So, Charlie Pride album with a picture of something else or some other people on it.
There's been a lot of conversation that, that was a smart move on his part, given the times.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's just so forward thinking, and it's sad. It's sad that he's gone. It's sad that Hank Aaron's gone, who was a huge Cleveland Browns fan.
I don't know how old Charlie Pride was, but Hank Aaron was 86. I feel like
that's true. Yeah.
Lived a pretty good life.
Christopher Plummer, 91. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Christopher Plummer's a white guy from, he was
as soon as you get north of like 75, I think we all just chalk it up to like, it's sad, but like
that's a good
But
life.
don't forget Christopher Plummer. He's attached. That's the Sound of Music.
Sound of Music, which
You know what I mean?
That cracked me up though, Corey, is that my wife goes, I didn't know that they were the same person. It's like, what? How did you not know that the head of the Von Trapp family was not the same person over there?
Well, he looked pretty different now than he did back then. So I think people kind of like.
Oh, Edelweiss, though, right? He was just there singing it so nicely.
But kudos to Christopher Plummer on a long and very successful acting career. And,
absolutely.
I don't think much has to be said about Hank Aaron. I think, another trailblazer in professional sports for Black athletes.
We saw recently that he was even on the court with Trey Young. He was still involved in Atlanta.
Yes.
To the end, right? It's a big deal. Like,
he's a legend.
Yeah.
I'm sure anywhere he went. I mean, the very fact that story he talked about in Cleveland is that he would show up to Cleveland because it was always cold with a balaclava on, right? So for years, that's how he would go into the dog pound, because he was a big, huge Cleveland Browns fan. Why? I don't know. Maybe he likes losers like I do. I don't know. But he'd wear that balaclava all the time, just sitting there. And then one day, this one guy was looking at him for years and then kind of followed him out and then saw him in one of the restaurants going, I knew it was you. For years, I'd see you.
I knew it.
And when he tells that story, it's just so amazing. It's so funny. Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who has he's done well for himself, and so he's got a good collection of exotic cars. He doesn't want to be a Ferrari guy because those guys are different, but he has Lamborghinis, and so he's part of the Seattle Lamborghini Club. And so he's known this guy for, it's a couple of years ago, but he's known this guy for like 10 years. They've been in this Lamborghini Club together. And they're sitting at Dick's Drive-In down 45th. It's a popular hamburger stand in the Seattle area. You know, them and all their Lamborghinis were pulled in this joint. And they start talking. And he's like, man, I know. He goes, I've known you for so long. He's like, I don't know how, like what your career has been. And he's like, oh, man. He's like, I had a hit on the radio and I run a record label now. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, anything I might know? He goes, yeah. He goes, Baby Got Back was my jam. And so this home dude had known Sir Mix-a-Lot for a long time and not known that it was Sir
No way.
Like, bro, he's like, I was driving to Dick's listening to my posse on Broadway, following Sir Mix-a-Lot in the Lamborghini on Broadway, and had like no idea.
No way. That's awesome.
Sir Mix-a-Lot looks different now than he looked back on the
I bet. Yeah. Completely low key. Yeah.
I had a hit one time.
I had a hit one time.
I run a small record label now.
Yeah. Sir Mix-a-Lot. Come on. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh yeah. Had to hit that.
It's not a big deal. On MTV every day for 540 days.
Oh
yep.
Man.
Sir Mix-a-Lot. There you go. Bringing it way back.
Yeah. What you gotta do,
I like
right?
it.
And then where you fit in, those are the guys you want to hang out with.
Oh my
So
god!
this is
unassuming guys where you're like, oh,
yeah.
I think with that brings us to the end of episode 28.
Yeah,
perfect.
That brings us there.
It's a good time. Come back soon. We enjoyed talking with you. It's always
Yeah,
good.
Corey. Oh my gosh, that was.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. You know, maybe the next time I'll be on, I'll hit the fountain of youth.
You
could be.
You can drink from it now. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Or the color on the screen will be different. I don't know.
Listen, I need you to keep an eye on Sean's though, and just watch how the line changes on the corners.
I will.
I can see it from here. I just need someone.
What are you talking about? This is all pure Valancourt. Pure.
Yeah,
Valancourt.
pure.
Is that the name of the shade that you pick? Is Valancourt?
Yeah,
Pure
he's
Valancourt.
coming out with his own salad dressing too. Pure Valancourt. Yeah.
Oh my
it.
gosh, man. What a treat, Corey. Corey, I really enjoyed you being on here. Let's have you back very soon. Okay. It was fun stuff, man.
We'll figure it out, but let's talk more when the NHL season's a little deeper and we can talk more about,
For
it's
sure.
always hard to look at a 10-game snapshot.
Yes. And we'll have a look back on how many dog beers we're sending you. Yep. If you're sending us dog beer after the Super Bowl is over.
Yeah. Corey, what's your prediction for this weekend?
I'm gonna take my prediction and go with KC. I'm going on the assumption Mahomes gonna pull it out, with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
You know my prediction, bro. You know it. 31-28 KC.
That Tyreek and Travis were out this week, feeling a little disrespected. So Matt, that might be something. You might be onto something there.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Now, I will say the storybook would be better written, and it would make for a better ending for Brady to walk away, and not to walk away, but
Stop it, Corey. You were just fine where you were, and then you had to go that extra mile there, right? Oh.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
He's a truth teller, Sean.
Yes.
We like to tell the truth. We don't have to hide behind our fantasy.
I tell the truth as well. It's just that I have a skewed version of it.
Okay.
It's just a prediction. It's just a prediction. We'll see. We'll see.
Corey and I are rooted over here in reality, and you live in the nothing wrong with it.
Right on.
Okay.
All right,
So
fellas.
28.
Thanks for inspiring. Appreciate you guys.
Take it easy.
Next week. We'll see you.
You got it.
Absolutely. Peace.
All right, man. Later, fellas.
You've listened to the podcast, but now it's time to visit us in our virtual sports bar. Get all of our info at guysbeersports.com, where you can find all the ways to connect with us. Watch for live conversations with Brad and Sean that happen throughout the week, and join in with your favorite local beer. You can share your thoughts in the conversation comments with your own uploaded videos, or even join us as a guest live commentator. The GBS Virtual Sports Bar is open for business. Come on in, boys and girls.